Okay then guys, what's going on? Cloud Plays here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're inside of Hogwarts Legacy and we're going to be taking a look at the combat style for this game, as I feel like this is probably the biggest make or break factor for when the game actually launches in just about 5-6 weeks time from now. For me, I've been reviewing quite a lot of gameplay over this game for the last 24 hours or so, and the biggest key factor that I'm concerned about is the combat style. Please hear me out before you make any judgment comments in the comment section down below, but we're going to dive into it today. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful blue thumbs up, subscribe, post notifications turned on, it'd be greatly appreciated. With that being said, let's dive on in. So there are a lot of things inside of this game that I am not worried about in the slightest when it comes to the generalization of how it looks like graphically, the way that it immerses you into its main storyline based on what we've seen so far. The maneuverability and how you can actually make your way around the map is extremely interesting, and especially knowing that we've got Flame to be able to fast travel, given that we've got the correct sort of materials to be able to utilize that from time to time, does definitely seem like the game as an overall is going to be an extremely interesting one. But one thing that we do know is that combat is going to be a massive factor of this, with it being obviously a RPG. This is going to be something that we are going to need to utilize quite a lot of the time. Now when we look at the screen right now, we have quite a huge factor. So this is the official Dark Arts Battle Arena gameplay, and the reason why we've used this gameplay is because, well, it's a bloody battle arena. It's actually probably the best thing to utilize when it comes to the way that the combat system works. There's a lot of things that we can see straight off of the bat, such as the way that the camera angles work throughout. It's extremely interesting and plays a key factor a lot like a lot of games actually don't. So as much as this does seem quite fast paced when it comes to the combat style, it also seems to hold quite a slow maneuverability. Now the way that the camera angles actually adjust and the way we have those slowed down animations and the cinematics within each of these spells that you can see in the bottom right hand side of the corner, we have an adjustable slot program. Now we have about 20 to 25 spells, I believe, that we've got the availability to over the due course of the game, and we can slot in specific ones utilizing the R2 button to be able to switch in and out of different abilities. Now this does mean that we are going to obviously have to select our spells quite well and base it mainly towards our playstyle, although what this also means is that it does kind of hold a bit of limitation. It means you'll be able to sort of utilize and spin out a lot of other spells and change your playstyle at turn, but as an overall there is going to be spells which are a lot stronger than others, and there is obviously, when it comes to these sorts of games, definitely a meta that will entail, and the likelihood is we're all going to end up using maybe about 80% of the same things. But as you can see right here, we can see that the general playstyle for how these spells actually work is really enjoyable. I actually really like the way that it plays out. My only concern is how sort of complex this actually runs. It doesn't seem like it is a more enjoyable way of hitting combat, and probably a lot more of a thought process combat style. Now what do I mean by that? There is a lot of combinations that you guys are able to hit, and although that is very cool and that is really fun, there is a lot more to go around when it looks at this, and you can see where the icons are marked up with the little green X's. You can see where we get sort of like warning signs above our head, almost like a spidey sense to a degree. I think that's kind of where they grasp that from. There does seem to be a lot of complex things that you need to watch out for in this. My only concern is that there's going to be way too much going on, that this just makes the combat style a lot less more enjoyable than it would as if it was just more of a generic play style for something that we're not used to on a general basis. With these sorts of games on a general, we are used to swords, shields, bow and arrows, and even down to the magic casting inside of things like Elden Ring. They don't generally have this complexity level that we're seeing right here. We do kind of learn the timings inside of Elden Ring and stuff like that, but this does seem to have a lot more of a weird scaling to it, with a time point and slow motion areas at different times. And on top of that, we have then obviously the ability to utilize potions and stuff like that. We have parries, which you can see when we gain a sort of like blue generic orb. This is when we're actioning a parry or sort of something like that of a defense mechanism. It's really interesting on how it all works, though my biggest concern is that it's going to be too complex for most people to actually enjoy it. Not too complex for most people to actually understand it, as I feel like it's quite simple in that regard, but to enjoy something like this, is going to be a little bit difficult for a lot of people. For me personally, I'm really excited for it. I think that there's a lot that could be said for the combat style that they've utilized in this, although what they do say is with more complexity does come a lot more issues, and that's probably leading into my biggest concern so far, is that with all of this complex maneuvers and all of the way that they've kind of made that animations and the cinematics of everything that run through with these spells, that it is going to have a few more bugs and a few more problems than we care to actually imagine. We already know that WB have not got the greatest history for their games, and Harry Potter as an overall actually probably hasn't had a very good game since the original basis on PlayStation 1. So, I mean, take that as you want to. But this was just a brief overhaul on my opinions of the combat. It was a little bit sporadic, completely unscripted, and this was just something that I kind of wanted to bring into fruition and get some conversations going in the comment section down below. I'm not feeling 100%, as you can tell by my voice. I'm feeling quite ill, but we are trying to get the upload schedule back to where it was at beforehand, where we can get at least a video every other day going up, so we can start getting this content rolling for when the series for Hogwarts Legacy does launch at the beginning of February. Thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate all your faces. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe, post notifications turned on. Appreciate you all, and as always, up until the next time, I'll see you in the clouds.